I'm at my local dealer, Power Lodge, here in Southwest Florida, where I bought my ZX4RR as well as my MT-09 at this dealer. And JD, my sales consultant here, he was happy to hook me up with the GSX8R. This is a brand new sport touring style motorcycle that kind of is in some ways a competitor to the ZX4RR, maybe a more of a Ninja 650 fighter. But if you guys are in the market for a new or used motorbike, check out Power Lodge here in Southwest Florida. Great deals, great customer service, no BS. Just ask for JD if you want the best deal. So we have the GSX8R here. I was actually considering this motorcycle over the Ninja lineup, the ZX6R, ZX4RR. Obviously, you guys know what I ended up with. But this bike was a consideration. Has lots of usable torque, around 57 pound-feet of torque. I'll put it on the screen. Around 6,800 RPM peak, which is about double the torque that I have on my 4-cylinder. But it's got around 82 horsepower, which comes in around 8,500 RPM. And that's maybe about 6 more horsepower than my motorcycle, but it comes in way lower in the rev range with this parallel twin, around 776 cc's if I remember correctly. We got 4-piston brakes up front, dual-sided brakes. It's just not a single-sided brake, so it's a real sport bike brakes up front. Got the Cyclops look to it. I think it's a very sharp looking bike. Got adjustable levers on the front, NISSIN calipers, but also master brake cylinder up there. Suzuki makes good looking bikes, and I'm partial to this. Now this is a used bike, just slightly. I want to say it's got 1,400 miles on it, and so it does have a tail tidy on it for us today. But I'm going to go ahead and sit on this, fire it up, and give you guys my first raw impressions of this motorcycle. Let's swing a leg over. It's actually a lot easier to swing the leg over on this bike, on the Suzuki 8R, compared to you see how high the tail is here on the Ninja. All right, so let's flip it up off the kickstand. Immediately the weight feels lighter, or at least lower. So it's easier to get off the kickstand compared to my bike. All right, so let's flip the kickstand back, clutch in. First impressions here. Well, let's see that startup screen again. This is a really sharp looking screen. I think it might be better than my Kawasaki. All right, so just hold down. Fires up quite nicely. It feels like a parallel twin right off the bat, so you kind of have those vibes. However, it's a 270 crank instead of a 180 crank. Ooh, and it pulls right away with that torque. Right when you get off the clutch, it starts pulling. So we're gonna take this on a first ride. You guys know that this is my first time with this bike. I'm excited because I want to see what this bike's about, and I want to see what the 270 crank is all about here on this GSX8R. Pretty smooth, even for a parallel twin here. Now, I'm not going to be messing. Ooh, and the engine braking. I got off the throttle there, and the engine braking here in first was quite noticeable. You immediately feel the torque the second you start lessening your grip on this clutch lever here. Now, it does have a quick shifter. I'm going to be using the clutch, at least initially. Ooh. I will say that it doesn't seem as eager to turn in compared to the Ninja. All right, so we got some a little twisties for Florida. It's pretty fast, to be honest. I'm probably only half throttle there. It's got plenty of shove, a lot more. Obviously at lower RPMs. Wow, this feels so different compared to the Ninja. I feel like I'm sitting up higher. I'm not bent over as much, but it's slight, and my feet aren't as cropped up. Okay, so the pegs are lower here. I should probably get the mirrors set up so they're actually, these mirrors are good. Holy cow. Wow, these mirrors are really nice. Well done. They don't look much different than my Ninja, but maybe it's because of where they're sitting on the bike that I have a better visibility here. I will use a quick shifter there for some downshifts, and it is pretty mechanical feeling. It's pretty heavy. There we go. Still getting used to giving it some throttle. Oh God. The clutch is really nice. I'll say that the clutch and the shifting gears, the gearbox here, the downshifts, I mean the engine braking strong as hell. That's probably like a twin thing, especially. Like I feel like the bigger the cylinder, the stronger the engine braking is going to be. But that quick shifter is pretty chunky feeling. It's not as smooth, I would say, as the ZX4s, but it doesn't seem to have any problems going into the gear. You just kind of have to, you push it quite a bit harder. I like the induction noise I have here. I do have headphones in, so that's going to mute what I'm hearing, but hopefully you guys can hear that. The induction noise is quite nice. So I'm going to downshift into second here and roll into the gas. Oh yeah, she's fast. That was full throttle there. Not like lift the front wheel, hold on for dear life like the MT-09 is, but it's just, it doesn't take any work for it to be in its power band. It seems like yeah, just, that's something. If I crack the throttle on the ZX4, I have to be in the right gear for it to really take off, and I like that. It's engaging, it's rewarding, but you can be a little bit lazy here on this twin. Actually, here's the boat ramp, so I'm going to go to the boat ramp area. Our first Coleman of the day. All right, so here we are doing some parking lot maneuvers here. It's really easy to maneuver in the parking lot. I just had to throw a leg there because I should have left off the clutch a little bit, but it's easy to do like a it's not hard to do a U-turn here with too wide. Let's see if I can do it. I mean, there's some gravel here, so I gotta be careful, but parking lot maneuvers here. Oh yeah, that torque, this engine, the second you get off the clutch, it really wants to pull. It's very tractory. Tons of lower down torque right as you get off the throttle. Yeah, I mean, maneuvering this in parking lot situations is actually really easy. I'm not as good turning to my right for whatever reason, but yeah, this is very easy to maneuver. I would say easier than the MT-09, and it's a little bit easier to maneuver than the ZX4RR at low speed situations. So we're going to go ahead and put this into neutral, which is easy to find. Some bikes it's not easy to find, so I do appreciate that. So let's put the kickstand down, give you guys a look. This is a pretty big tire. This is a much bigger rear tire than the ZX4. This must be 180 width, 120 in the front, 180 in the rear. It's a fat rear tire. MT-09's, I believe, was a 180 in the rear. Pretty bike, man. I like it. Some people don't like the Cyclops looks, and this came out after the twin to this without all the fairings and whatnot, and that was the GSX8R, more of a naked style bike. That bike I think is ugly. This one's actually pretty cool looking. I mean, I can only imagine what that brap would sound like if you had an aftermarket exhaust. This is not going to sound very good here with the stock pipe, but I do like how it's tucked away. It's a cool looking bike. It's very front heavy looking. You can see it's really got some big front shoulders and a tiny itty bitty back end, but it's got a thick waist. It's almost like a bumblebee, right? Fat body, and then you got a little stinger on the back. I still think it looks cool. It's macho looking. It's futuristic. Some people don't like the Cyclops look. I think it's cool. I think it's symmetrical. It looks good. I don't know why people complain about the front end of it, but I think it looks good. High beam is going to be there at the bottom. You even have a little daytime running light there on top of the low beam, which is pretty cool. Sheriff giving me a wave. It's nice to see that he's not like suspicious of what I'm doing. Oh man, this is so much nicer to play with. So these buttons just scroll. So 67 miles per gallon. There's no way that my ZX4 4-cylinder can get that sort of fuel economy. You see it's got about 1,400 miles. Well, that's trip 2. I wonder if, there you go. Looks like trip 2's never been reset, or trip 1, because the odometer is, there you go, 1438. Horn is very loud. Flashers are a slidey. Flashers slide instead of a button. That's very different. Adjustable. Well, interesting. The clutch lever is not adjustable. The brake lever is. I would say the comfort here is actually good. It's I would say on par with the ZX4RR for me, because I kind of like my feet up high. These are a little bit lower. The seat is very comfortable here, and I am leaned forward just a little bit. Not fully committed like a true sports bike. I would say still more upright than the ZX4RR, which I prefer to be leaned over a little bit more. And this windscreen's really, really small. So let's go ahead and start riding again. So I want to get a better feel of this. Definitely at all speeds, low speeds, high speeds. I like how it is in first gear. Once you get going in it, it's pretty smooth. I like the engine braking here in first gear, and it just kind of pulls along. It's a bit tractory though. It doesn't. It's like it wants more throttle here as I'm in first gear, and I'm sure an ECU flash would help that. So we kind of have a straightaway here, and so we'll be able to give it some beans. Again, real easy to find neutral, which is much appreciated. On the Grom, it's a complete nightmare finding neutral. Like, it can take me sometimes like a minute to find neutral. It's a new Lincoln Nautilus right there. I've heard good things about it, especially the hybrid. And it's a Chinese car. It's made in China. And then there's the SC430, legendary Lexus drop top coupe. You can hear that V8 purring away. We have a BMW 8 Series coupe behind us. You guys saw the Cullinan leave here, so it's a bit of a ritzy area. You see a Maserati SUV. God, oh my God, it doesn't, honestly, here's the thing. It doesn't feel that much slower to 60 than the MT-09. And man, do I wish I could hear this engine. If you want a bike that looks good, this is a good one. If you want something that's really good, here's the thing, it's really good on fuel economy. I've been driving an SCL 500 from Honda, and that has a smaller parallel twin. It doesn't sound as good as this. It doesn't have as much character as this. I like this parallel twin a lot more than that Honda 180 crank for the about 500cc engine. This engine is, it's still a parallel twin, so you still have some of that character or lack thereof in some degrees. But the 270 here is, I mean, once you put a pipe on it, I'm sure I'll be enjoying this bike a lot more, because I really enjoy the sound of the bike. The induction noise here is quite nice. This thing pulls really, really hard and gets really good fuel economy. Would I pick like a Gixxer 750 over this? Yeah, absolutely. Okay. It doesn't turn over nearly as like confidently. Let's get in the brakes. Well, the engine braking is so strong here, I'm not going to hit the brakes hard. I could clutch in though, but I do like the engine braking. So it really doesn't like to lean into the turn like the ZX4RR. It feels like it just wants to stay upright, and that some people might prefer that. Some people might prefer to not want to tip over as easily. But that's just kind of the vibes it's getting me. The MT-09 felt like it wanted to dive into the turn a little bit more than this, and the ZX4RR, of course, it really, really wants to hug those turns naturally. Seems like you got to work a little bit to tip this over in the turns. But here's the thing, a Gixxer 750 doesn't have like all these fancy features in here, like a quick shifter, like traction control, like all these fancy modern electronics. That just doesn't exist on most of, well, at least the GSX8R or the 750. Yeah, I really like the clutch on here too. So much better than the MT-09s. The gearbox on that I did not like. You pretty much had to quick shift everywhere on that bike, because the quick shifting experience was really good, and the manual shifting experience on it was crazy. All right, so there's that torque. Oh my God. And I was in fifth. I wasn't even like in third or fourth there. Holy cow. You just grip and rip and it accelerates so fast. So let's go down to fourth. Okay, that's it's the full throttle that it doesn't have just insane whiplash effect, but for like it's like the 3/4 throttle that is so nice to have getting around traffic or passing on the highway. Here I'm going 62 and now let's go 65. I'm not getting any weird wind buffeting going on. It's pretty comfortable. What about 70? And it just, with that torque, it just scoots you to 70, no problem. I mean, I think I could spend, here's the thing, I think this might be more comfortable than the ZX4RR going at these speeds. I'm not sure why. At least the wind doesn't seem as, yeah, it's just, I'll say this, it's going to be a nice touring bike. It's got some comfort. Okay, Prius, thank you for getting around. Oh my gosh, and it really wants to pull. Once it gets to about 6,000 to 7,000 RPM, it hits, oh my, seriously? Seriously, so unnecessary, man. But yeah, once you get this engine to that power band, 6,000 to 7,000 RPM, it's pretty satisfying. The brakes are okay. The brakes don't feel as confident as the MT-09s did or the ZX4RR, but the engine braking is going to help you. Just sitting here at a stop though, I'm trying to get back to first. It didn't like doing that. I had to keep stomping it down a little bit for it to get back to first. It didn't even say there was a gear there, so that took a bit to get down there. So that's something I would just learn with, is just make sure to downshift while I'm moving, because it doesn't like to, while you're stuck at a stop, to shift into the lower gears, for example. By pressing mode here, I can adjust the traction control. Looks like there's 3 different settings. I'm in A mode, but I can switch that to B or C mode. Let's see what C mode is like. Definitely more docile getting off the line there. Yeah, the throttle's like not nearly as sensitive here in C mode. It feels more like the I'll say this, it feels more like the 500 class parallel twins, like Honda's parallel twins around 500 cc's when you're in C mode here, which is super predictable. Nothing's gonna scare you or jump out. And there, when I was decelerating, I had no problem getting into first gear. So I'm gonna put that back into A mode. It's pretty easy to do. So tons of torque, far more practical of a powertrain for daily usage compared to my ZX4R, and that's going to appeal to a lot of people. I'm impressed with this powertrain, and I can only imagine with like a flash and aftermarket pipe how good it would be. I think I would really like this setup, and in fact I think I like it better than the MT-09's triple. Do I like this bike better than the MT-09? It's hard to say. I'd have to spend more time with it, but do I like it better than my ZX4RR? Well, other than the torque, I like everything else about my ZX4RR. It's just a more fun bike. It sounds incredible. It revs to the moon. It speaks to me better, but like if I was commuting daily, I think the parallel twin would be a more sensible option. But the thing is, motorcycles aren't always they're not really a sensible vehicle. They got to speak to your heart. So definitely try out the GSX8R if you think it would be a good bike for you. I'm really impressed with it. It feels really solid, good electronics, good safety, incredible torque. I really like this engine, and Suzuki's got what I would say a winner on their hands. And I would definitely pick this over something like the Ninja 650, but the Ninja 650 is a lot cheaper. This is, I'm trying to think of a direct competitor to this bike. Maybe my bike in some ways. but my bike doesn't really have direct competition either. So we're back at Power Lodge here, and we're gonna wrap this up. I'll see you guys in the comments. If you guys are in Southwest Florida, check out Power Lodge if you like your side-by-sides, your wave runners, your motorcycles, boats. They have boats here. They got a lot of cool stuff. Check them out. I'll see you guys in the comments. I'll put a link to Power Lodge down below. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.